Looks like we finally did it. The cult classic is crawling back from the grave. Constantine 2 just took a huge step forward, and the confirmation came straight from the man himself, Keanu Reeves. The new version of the script is finished, the ball's now in James Gunn's court, and fans are holding their collective breath. So what's up with this new take on the legendary Exorcist? Why did the first draft get tossed into the holy fire? And what exactly ticked off Reeves? Let's dig in, starting with the spicy stuff. Just recently, Constantine 2 got a major update straight from its biggest star. After nearly radio silence since the sequel was announced, journalists finally cornered Keanu Reeves with the question every fan's been chanting for years: "Doob, what's going on with Constantine?" This time, Keanu didn't dodge. He revealed that he's read a brand new draft of the script, and it actually blew him away. He was so impressed he sent it straight to the studio for James Gunn's approval. That might not sound earth-shattering, but trust me, it's a big deal. This sequel has been stuck in limbo longer than some of the demons Constantine fights. Actor Peter Stormare, who played Lucifer in the first film, finally shed some light on what went wrong earlier. According to him, Keanu was not happy with the original script. And by not happy, I mean it was a full-on nope moment. Apparently, the first draft was packed with endless flips, brawls, and flying cars, basically a Fast and Furious Vatican drift situation. In other words, your standard blockbuster chaos had possessed Constantine. Reeves was like, guys, I already have John Wick for that. Constantine isn't about kicking demon butt for 2 hours straight. It's about faith, philosophy, and that grimy biblical vibe. He wanted the sequel to preserve the eerie, spiritual tone of the original, not turn it into Holy Avengers Apocalypse Edition. According to Stormare, Reeves also had a pretty clear vision for how God should appear in the sequel, wearing a black suit looking eerily similar to Lucifer himself. Now, sure, all this is coming from Stormare, not straight from Keanu, but honestly, it checks out. It fits perfectly with Reeves' view of Constantine as something deeper than a flashy action flick. Turning it into another CGI-heavy brawl would just strip the movie of its soul. Reeves has spent years fighting to get the sequel off the ground. At this point, nobody wants it to turn out right more than he does. The first Constantine movie wasn't exactly a box office beast. It barely made enough to pay for Keanu's holy water bill. But over the years, it's pulled a full redemption arc and earned cult classic status, with millions of fans who defended harder than John Wick defends his dog. Now, the new draft seems to have impressed Reeves and the rest of the team, so production might finally start moving again. The next step? Waiting to see how DC's head honchos, especially James Gunn, react to it. If Gunn gives the thumbs up, Constantine 2 will develop as part of DC's Otherworlds, the same sandbox where Robert Pattinson's Batman lives. That means no cameos from Superman, no awkward multiverse meetings, and, thankfully, no forced crossover dance numbers. The new version turns out so mind-blowingly good that Gunn decides to squeeze it into the main DC timeline, which is about as likely as a Lucifer joining the Justice League. The tone of Constantine is just too different for that. So the sequel will keep telling its own story, moody, philosophical, and blissfully free from superhero small talk. Not long ago, James Gunn dropped some interesting hints about a mysterious side project. During his Superman press tour, he mentioned meeting with a very famous actor who was working on a film set in another DC world. They talked about what needed to happen for the movie to actually see the light of day. And let's be real, he was obviously talking about Constantine 2. By that time, the Batman Part 2 was already locked in, and the only other big name still in play was Keanu Reeves himself. Seems like Keanu took Gunn's notes seriously, leading to those strongly encouraged script provisions we just heard about. Now, the odds of Constantine 2 getting the green light look better than ever. Gunn's team has a track record. When they see a killer script with a strong story, they make room for it. That's exactly what happened with Mike Flanagan's upcoming Clayface movie, a Batman villain spin-off that got fast-tracked purely because the script was apparently that good. It's already set for release in fall 2026. So yeah, Constantine's chances are pretty high. It's got a loyal fan base, a powerhouse lead, and a production team that actually cares. If the script gets approved by the end of this year, filming could start in 2026 with a release sometime in 2027. And yes, original director Francis Lawrence is expected to return, which means we might finally get the moody, spiritually messed up sequel we've been waiting for. This year, critics have been all over Francis Lawrence's latest film, The Long Walk, which is currently in theaters and apparently making everyone feel deep and miserable in a good way. Next year, he's steering a brand new Hunger Games prequel, this time focusing on Haymitch's reaping, so yes, expect trauma and whiskey. After that, his plate's stacked higher than a demon hunter's laundry pile. I Am Legend 2, the long-suffering BioShock adaptation, and of course, Constantine 2. Sadly, BioShock just got flushed back into rewrite hell because the script didn't meet expectations. Translation, it was about as satisfying as a wet splicer. At this pace, we'll probably see the movie around the same time real underwater cities become a thing, so yeah, don't hold your breath. Meanwhile, I Am Legend 2 is shaping up to be one of the most hyped sequels in years. Will Smith's coming back, Michael B. Jordan's joining the cast, and the original crew's ready to make lightning strike twice. The only issue? The script. It's been almost ready for about 2 years now, which in Hollywood time means we're still arguing over page 1. That's why right now, Constantine 2 looks like the most realistic project on Lawrence's calendar. If DC approves the script, filming could kick off as early as next year. As for the plot, officially, we know next to nothing. But based on interviews and a few cryptic hints, we can piece together a rough idea of what's cooking in Hell's Kitchen. If we look back at the first movie's ending, the setup practically writes itself. Lucifer heals John Constantine, cures his cancer, and stops him from ascending to heaven purely out of spite. The devil basically said, nah, you're staying down here where I can watch you mess up again. So in the sequel, Constantine's probably walking a very thin line, trying to stay righteous enough to dodge eternal damnation while still punching demons in the face. Only this time, he'll have to do it a little more discreetly. Peter Stormare also revealed that God actually appeared in the first draft of the script, and he's likely to stay in the updated version. This time, the Almighty is supposed to have a real voice in the story, not just a background mention. Nobody knows how big the role will be, but it's expected to be striking and memorable, the kind of presence that makes even Lucifer raise an eyebrow. And knowing Hollywood, they'll probably cast a legendary old-school actor for the part, someone with enough gravitas to make you think, yeah, that's definitely a dude who's seen some divine stuff. We can only guess who might land the role of God, but honestly, Sir Gary Oldman would absolutely crush it. The man could read a grocery list to make it sound like divine judgment. Picture it, Oldman in a black suit, glowing eyes, calling out demons like he's lecturing first-year theology students. Yeah, that would slap. As for Peter Stormare, the devil himself, he's officially coming back for the sequel. A few months ago, Reeves actually met with him to discuss their next unholy collaboration, which sounds like the most metal calendar event ever. Fun fact, the last time these two legends shared the screen was in John Wick Chapter 2. Stormare played Abram Tarasov, brother to the unlucky guy Wick turned into a speed bump in the first film. That opening scene was pure intimidation energy. Reeves radiated cold fury, but back in Constantine, it was Stormare who made our skin crawl. His portrayal of Lucifer wasn't the usual CGI fireball nonsense. It was quietly disturbing, magnetic, and somehow elegant. That's what a final boss should be, terrifying just by existing. Here's something most people forget. The first Constantine actually had a post-credit scene way before Marvel made it cool. In it, Constantine's fallen buddy Chaz comes back to life as an angel, setting up the perfect sequel hook. But as with most good things in Hollywood, time happened. A lot of it. It's been nearly 2 decades, and whether that storyline will return is anyone's guess. That same Chaz was played by a young, pre-Transformer Shia LaBeouf back when he was still the promising talent type instead of the walking headline type. Back then, Shia was sharp, funny, and clearly on the rise. Seeing him return as an older, wiser, and possibly winged version of Chaz would actually be kind of poetic. But whether DC dares to resurrect both him and his angel form is a different story entirely. Yeah, about Shia. Let's just say the man's had one heck of a ride since Constantine. He's gone from promising young actor to walking meme generator. There was the time he wore a paper bag on the red carpet that said, "I'm not famous anymore." Then the whole performance art marathon where he watched all his own movies back to back. And of course, a few extracurricular scandals that made Hollywood collectively go, yeah, maybe not this time. Long story short, bringing LaBeouf back would be like playing Russian roulette with PR. Let's be real, Keanu Reeves is basically the human embodiment of calm, moral energy. The guy gives up his subway seat, donates half his paycheck, and probably apologizes when he kills demons. So yeah, pairing him up with someone who's been chaos incarnate for years, not happening. Reeves isn't the type to risk a film's reputation or its soul just for nostalgia points. That's why the Chaz storyline will probably be quietly buried in holy ground. Now what about Gabriel? In the first film, the angel was played by the magnificent Tilda Swinton, half divine, half terrifying. She recently said that nobody's reached out to her about returning, which is weird considering Reeves already reconnected with Peter Stormare. Still, nothing's off the table yet. Casting announcements haven't even started, so there's a decent chance Swinton could swoop back in with that smug, celestial smirk. Bottom line, Constantine 2 is alive. Barely breathing, but alive. It's finally showing real signs of progress, and if the stars align and James Gunn's schedule allows, we might actually see John Constantine back on screen within the next couple of years. We'll probably hear the next big production update around New Year's. Until then, we'll just keep lighting candles and hoping Keanu's holy mission stays on track. Now it's your turn. Do you think the sequel can live up to the cult legacy of the original, or has that ship already sailed straight into hell? As for us, we've been waiting since 2005, and honestly, we never stopped believing. The first film had everything: hellish visuals, unsettling theology, and not a single forced quip about saving the universe. So yeah, we believe in the power of Keanu, the wisdom of James Gunn, and the hope that Constantine 2 will rise again, darker, smarter, and every bit as soul-crushingly good as the first. Thanks for watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know if Constantine 2 can live up to the original's legendary status.